What's going on, people? Oh, crap, start again. My God. What's going on, people? Welcome to the fifth episode of Hip Hop Orchestra presents Georgio Savvides, and I am a complete donut because I actually forgot to call out a few people in my last episode. So shout out to Sabina Vitosu, Kofi, aka DJ Funks, and Sebastian Lee. Now, on to this episode. I actually want to talk about a dream project of ours that actually fell through 4 years ago. Now, I'm not going to mention the company we were working with, but I'm going to mention the story behind it, what event it was all about, and what exactly happened. That not really anyone knows about, apart from a few personal people. Um, so, as I mentioned a few times in previous episodes, I've given a TED talk and we performed at Maidaville Studios for BBC One Extra, and this was back in 2015. And following this, we approached this company, saying that through the success of those performances, that we actually want to take it further and expand on it and make it much bigger. And they agreed. They actually wanted to help us out with it and help us bring it to life. And so the project we had in mind was to, like we said, expand on the hip hop orchestra on those shows, but make it much bigger. And what you meant by bigger was a lot more members, so a much bigger and full size sort of symphony orchestra, performing with a mixture of both established artists and some of the sort of the best up and coming artists. Because as you know, or a lot of people know, that I think BBC Introducing do a wants to look out for every year, like BBC Introducing, I think they do it every year, of some of the best up and coming artists to look out for per year. So we approached the company with the idea, saying we wanted to have a full size orchestra, work with these some of the best up and coming and established artists. They agreed. So once we had an initial meeting with them, we went home. Myself and I was working with someone who I mentioned actually in my last episode, one of my best friends, Adam Kamenetsky, who worked at the time as a chair member for Sinfonia Temesa. We were going to kind of combine both orchestras to make it much bigger. So what we did was we kind of sat down, discussed what artists we thought would work best with the orchestra. Had like a huge list of both up and comers and established artists, and we put together a list of tracks that we thought would work really, really well. We can expand on with the orchestra. And once we've done that, agreed on everything, we also put together a sort of like a budget list of how much it would cost to put together in terms of musicians, venues, that kind of thing. Approached Arts Council, went really far with that, and we also went back to this company saying that we've got this far with funding so far. These are the artists we want to work with, and these are the kind of tracks that you want to work with. And what do you feel about this? They loved the work ethic. They loved the artists that we chose in their tracks. They said, from now we will choose a date, choose a venue. We'll get in contact with these artists for you and come back to you with who we feel would be the best and who have also agreed to be a part of the show. And I'll give you a kind of like rundown who we chose. So people like Lethal Bizzle to Skepta to Stormzy, Craig Davey, Katy B, Muramasa, Neo, like loads of different artists. And a little while later, they came back to us saying, look, we've got the venue, which was originally meant to be at Maidaville Studios. Not the studio we performed at, but the actual full-size big venue, which was like a dream, because I think I mentioned this in one of my episodes when I mentioned our BBC One Extra sessions, where I actually walked around walked around the studio. I got there an hour early and walked around everywhere, and I actually walked into the big studio and I said to myself, we're actually going to perform here one day, because it was literally a dream venue to perform in. And when they said that we were going to perform there in September of 2016, my heart was like pounding so much. And they said that we were going to perform there in September, and we've got these artists so far, and those artists were Muramasa, Neo, Katy B, Ella Eyre as well was one of them. And then a while after that, they actually confirmed that they had Craig David involved as well, which was like the best thing ever. It was amazing because obviously we're huge fans of all these artists, but Craig David was like the man. Loved him. Still listening to his stuff now all the time. So they came back, confirmed all those artists. I think one more as well, but I can't remember who it was now. But they confirmed all those artists. They also confirmed in writing as well, saying that we're going to promote, help you with this event. And we also wanted to get it filmed as well, obviously for footage. They're all going to film it as well, record it for us and so forth. Now, if I tell you the amount of work that went into this event was ridiculous. I actually quit my job to focus on this. And I actually moved out. I got my own place at that time as well. So it wasn't the best decision. But I thought to myself that if I don't take this leap, don't take this risk now, and if it falls through because I've had to focus on work, then I would regret it for the rest of my life. So I took the plunge, quit my job to focus fully on this project because I believed in it so much. And we're working with two people primarily at this company for this event, going back and forth with a million meetings. And then a bit of bad news actually was that they both ended up leaving. One left to go to Spotify at the time, and the other one took a sabbatical, which kind of worried me at the start, because how could they both leave at the same time? Obviously that worried the hell out of me, but at the same time it kind of worked in our favour because we had extra time to get everything in place. So what happened was these two people who were like they were at the top of this company who were working with at the time. They were like the heads of this company. They moved on, but they passed it on to someone else who was kind of equally as ready to take things on. He was equally as experienced in taking things on. So we worked with him for a few more months, and then he ended up leaving as well, and then passing on to someone else. Now this is where things went downhill really, really quickly, because the person that he passed it on to, she was, I think, the head of this company. Like she was there for like 19 years at the time, and even though her credentials were incredible, she worked with on like some of the biggest projects for the company. I found out after that she was a complete nightmare to work with, because we found out why, because she basically took on this project, and then we had a meeting with her, and we can tell that through her body language, the way she spoke about this project, that she didn't really care. Everyone before her was so excited for the project. They were so excited, they pushed it so far, but when we spoke with her, it's like she didn't care. And even though I was still keeping positive about the whole thing, we found out about a week or two later that she emailed me to say, look, we're not doing it no more. She literally just dropped the whole project, and this was a year and a half later, after a shit ton of work went involved in terms of getting all the members, the venues, rehearsals, writing all the music out for full orchestra. And we're talking about not just 10, 15, 20 members, we're talking 50 plus members here now. It was just a nightmare. And the reason, I'm going to go back a little bit now, the reason why we found out she was a nightmare was because she's known to take on several projects and just drop them at the top of the hat. And I spoke to one of my best friends who used to work at this company. I mentioned to him exactly what happened, and he actually goes to me, he never swears ever. He's the calmest, nicest guy ever. I'm not going to mention any names for the time being, but I mentioned to him what happened, and he went, she's the reason why I left the company in the first place, because she's a fucking nightmare. She takes on these projects and just drops them. It was just a nightmare, because not many people know about this thing, because I haven't really mentioned it to a lot of people, but to have your kind of dream project handed to you and confirmed, for you to quit your job to focus on this project and then for them to drop it, was the worst feeling ever. It was kind of a relief, because they were like dragging on for so long. It was a relief in the sense of we finally knew where we're standing with it, but at the same time, it was completely heartbreaking because this was a real dream project to work on, and it was so much fun to do. They just dropped it. So after that, I just stopped the orchestra for a while properly because we were kind of dropping other projects to work on this one, understandably, because it was such a huge project. We took on so much of this project, and people, I mentioned this in a different episode, I can't remember which one, but people don't realise how much work goes on behind the scenes. And I've mentioned this, I think, in my last episode, I think Dyspraxia or number 4, episode 4, where if you're not putting constant content out there, people think you're not working. And for these kinds of projects, a lot of projects, but I do this sort of thing, but for these kind of projects where you work with a major company and major events, they don't allow you to promote or put words out there just in case if anything goes wrong, which happens here. So that's why a lot of the time we're not allowed to mention what we're doing or put anything out there because of contract reasons or documents, whatever it might be. But this was completely heartbreaking, so we stopped the orchestra for a while after that because it was just, I lost a love for doing it, and I realised how corrupt some people can be. But then took a break from everything, and things really came to life again. But I just wanted to mention this project as well because, as we know, what's going on now with the coronavirus, where a lot of people are kind of having work cancelled, which is understandable, and everyone had to stay home. But I just want to let you know, like, we're always here for you, and if ever you want to talk to anyone, we're always here as well for you to help out, wherever it might be. Also, just to keep positive about everything, because even though things are scary at the moment, keep positive because things are going to work out for the better. And we realise that keeping positive and going through keeping positive is a fantastic thing. No matter what happens in life, keep positive because setbacks will happen. They always happen, but it's how you deal with those setbacks that make you a better person. So we've had, like, since this setback, we've had some of the best memories ever, like performing at major festivals, working with major artists and so forth. So things worked out for the better, but that dream project still is a dream project that we'll still love to work with, but it will happen. So watch this space. But in the meantime, take things easy, stay home, relax, do whatever you want at home. Just keep positive and know that things are going to work out for the better. And peace.